Okay, the final objection of Hume's against the teleological argument is that we find disorder in the world. Now, what is meant by disorder in this context? Well, it seems to me that there is a high degree of order in some um, facets of the world, in living organisms, for example. That seems fairly clear. Therefore, if uh, some other things are not that orderly, that doesn't negate the fact that the living organisms, at least, were designed ultimately by uh, God. So, and I've already explained that in the last video. But it seems to me that the claim that there's disorder in the world is really not um, a true observation. I wouldn't say myself that there really is disorder. There is the law of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics, where things become less orderly. But that um, so in that sense there is disorder or less order, but uh, it's a mistake to go from that to the claim that if there is a God, he's a bad designer of certain things. Um, so when we have, for example, if you have a child that is born with a physical deformity, a handicap of some sort, um, that is not what we would consider to be ideal, of course. Um, we would prefer that our children are healthy and not born with missing limbs or what have you. Um, but I, th- I don't I'm not really sure that that's as good an objection to teleological arguments as people seem to think. Um, and you can find people on YouTube who will make these kinds of arguments. I have a sore back, they might say. Um, so the spine in human beings it is not the same as it is in certain animals, certain, I don't know, cats or something. So it's curved, and it's the curvature of this human spine can lead to um, problems that people have as they get older with back pain. So um, there are things that don't seem ideal. However, as human beings, we have the intelligence uh, in principle to develop medical technologies to treat these things. Uh, now I myself I can't see very good without glasses. Um, and I once had a friend who was praying that God uh, would heal him so he didn't have to wear glasses anymore. And we could say that we, the claim could be made that if God is loving and a good designer, then he would not have the need for glasses. So he actually was believing. He seemed to think that if you believe strongly enough, then God will heal you of your vision problems. So he was walking around in faith without his glasses on. Um, uh, but he couldn't see very good. And he did that for a while, and then eventually he ended up getting contact lenses. So we can correct vision problems with glasses. So we don't need uh, God to give us perfect eyes or to heal us. He's given us the intelligence to design tools like glasses that we can wear to correct our handicaps. Now, that's not to say that there's a total cure for all problems, but I think the charge that there is bad design or disorder or no design in some parts of nature, what this really boils down to is the old problem of suffering. People, human beings, also animals, um, can can and do suffer a great deal. Um, so the question that raises is, why, if God is loving, if God is omnipotent, why and all-knowing, why doesn't He prevent this stuff from happening? But this is a separate issue from the teleological argument in and of itself. So I think that's an important question that really needs to be addressed, and I think philosophers of religion and Christian apologists have done a good job of answering that. Um, the basic um, theodicy, if you will, seems to boil down to uh, God created us with uh, free will, which is a good thing, that we have that, and because of that, ultimately, we suffer. Um, and the suffering is not always directly caused by a uh, human choice to commit evil against another human. That explains some of the suffering, but sometimes it's more indirect. So I think that the problem of evil is a very important issue that has to be addressed, and that has been addressed, and is continuing to be addressed, probably until the cows come home. People will be writing books saying that they have a good theodicy, and other people will be criticizing the theodicy, and they'll go back and forth in the journals and of philosophy. But um, the we have to move from focusing in on the teleological argument to this separate issue. Um, so I think that is what needs to happen with the eighth and final objection of Hume. You stop talking about just the teleological argument and start giving the theodicy, and then at the end of the theodicy, you can go back and say, see, even this eighth objection, which was perhaps the only relevant objection against the argument, is not successful as a defeater of the teleological argument. So the conclusion of all this is that the teleological argument, as far as I'm concerned, is a good argument. It's a compelling argument. All rational persons should accept its conclusion, namely that God exists. And Hume, who is the most outspoken critic of it in the history of philosophy, um, his objections don't hold any water. Now, by the way, Kant, who kind of took over from Hume, some of these, some of Hume's thinking, I believe, agreed that the teleological argument is sound, but he cautions, like Hume did, that we can't, for example, say that God is definitely omnipotent, or it's not. The proof is sound, but we can't make it say more than what it does say. Um, so Kant, who is also very vocal in criticizing the traditional theistic arguments, seems to admit that this one, at least, uh, unlike the cosmological and ontological arguments, is sound. So I think that we have good reason for accepting it. Antony Flew, no longer an atheist, because of the teleological argument. And yeah, so thanks for